All right, ladies. How are you? What's going on?
I'm good.
We are
Good. What's happening?
fabulous.
Okay, it sounds like everybody dragging
Fabulous.
today.
What's happening? Yeah.
No, we're good. I'm ready.
No, I'm good. I'm ready,
Get the
girl.
show on the road.
Okay, so cars in drive right now. So today, as I was driving, I was listening to Frank Ski and Nina Brown. I want to give you all a shout out. I listen to
Okay.
you when I'm driving. So they're on WHUR.
Okay.
And they were talking about siblings. And I found it interesting because today we're talking about our siblings.
Siblings.
What's happening, family? You're listening to the Unfiltered Lineman with BLT. Every week, we will reflect on our journey on trying to navigate between our parents' traditional culture versus American culture. Oh, gosh, boy. We are your hosts,
Bertide.
Lisa, and of course, Terry. Olya, no one is talking. So let's get unfiltered.
Exactly. So with that, I thought it was very befitting the topic. So by the time that I turned on, what they were talking about was Wendy Williams. I don't know if you know, but Wendy Williams' husband had an affair with another woman, which produced a child.
Mm-hmm.
When she found out that he just on the initial affair aspect of it, she didn't want to be bothered, so it was divorce.
Mm-hmm. It got ugly. Yeah, I remember that.
Exactly. Okay. However, Wendy and the ex-husband had a son, Kevin Jr. Okay. And I think Kevin Jr. is like a grown man. I think he's in his 20s. So the question was, Wendy was asked on some talk show, the child is here now. The outside child is here. And Wendy was asked, do you want to know the child? And Wendy was like, no, I don't know child. Why want to know child? No. Child may want to know me, but I don't want to know the child.
You know what? I cannot.
Exactly. So in listening to this, Frank Ski said that he feels that a lot of us are messed up because our culture has so many outside children. And we don't get to interact with those. That sometimes puts an effect on how we grow up and how we become adults.
Yeah.
A woman called in and she said that her father, she was the outside child and she never knew she was the seventh child and the father had 7 children.
Ooh.
And he never embraced her and the wife never embraced her. So the other 6 children went on to do wonderful things and she just got the short end of everything.
Wow.
His wife didn't want to know her, so she was always left out in the cold. When she got married, she said to herself that she would never do that. When she got married, her husband had a child, okay, outside the marriage. And what she said she's going to do is for the children to get to know each other. So with all this being said, how do you ladies feel about knowing your siblings that are not of your mother and father, your other sibling? Because this is 2 parts here. When we're talking about this siblings situation, we're talking about one aspect and we're going to talk about another aspect. But I wanted to talk about this one first before we got to the other one. How do you ladies feel about if you knew that you had a brother or sister outside of your mother and father, how would you feel about that? And would you want to contact them and for them to be a part of your life?
Lisa?
Well, I haven't experienced that. There is no children outside the wedlock, not that I know of. But would I want to know them? Yeah, I would want to know them. I would want to know them.
Okay. And you would embrace them.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, whatever went on with one of my parents or one of their parents, that's their business. We're blood. So I would like to at least get to know you and know who you are. Definitely. Yeah. Now, how close that relationship is, it depends on what's going on, but I definitely would like to at least know them and know who they are, and at least try to make the effort to try to get to know them, and also make the effort to try to have them be part of our lives. I think it's healthy. That's a healthy thing to do.
Definitely. Okay.
That's good.
And you, Ms. Giggles?
So for me, I did experience that, and I'm going to share this story because I think it's hella hilarious how you say there's a lot of children outside. There's a Haitian song that I love, and it talks about that, like he's an outside child, and how you just said the stepmom. You know what I mean?
Excuse me, I did interject. Can you just give us a little verse in Haitian?
The song is called PITIT DEYޮ, which means outside child. And he talks about how he's the outside child. He didn't understand growing up why he could only see his dad on certain days, on the weekends. And then he talks about how, hey, stepmom, it's not my fault that I'm here. Because again, he's a child, so he didn't understand. But the song is the beat's really good. I'll send out. We'll put the name in the link below of this comment. Y'all can listen to it. But with my dad, what happened was I have an older brother on my dad's side, and I didn't know that until my mom came to the U.S. and my dad just basically came and picked us up one weekend, and then he was like, "Oh, I got a surprise for y'all." And when we go home, and I'm thinking a surprise, like, hey, give whatever.
Ice cream.
Like, hey, you got us what we got? Because, I'm running. I'm one of the child, like, so him and my sister walking, I'm running ahead, right, to the house. And there's this chair with this boy. And I was like, so me, and I remember this so vividly, stupid things I remember. I go, because the door is open, I look, and I'm like, so I run back to where, because they're still walking right behind, and I walk back. I was like, somebody in the house. That's what I tell him. I'm like, there's somebody in the house. Like, because I'm like, what? Why is somebody in the house? Like, there's this kid. So he's walking, and he's like, well, you got to wait until I get home. But I'm like, no, there's somebody in that. Like, why are they in our house? Like, my question. So then when we get to the house, he tells both me and my sister, oh, this is your brother, blah, blah, blah. But we're young enough that I think because my mom wasn't there, maybe made it easy, or I don't know. It was just kind of one of those things. We were so, because, they say kids are so, what they call it, you adapt quicker because you haven't had a thought or sense of, and you don't really understand, like, yo, he cheated on your mom. Yes, because you don't really understand. And then it wasn't until one of the weekends we spent together, we actually had to drop him off, and we met his mom. And that, to me, even though I was a child, that's when I felt like, that was kind of weird, meeting his mom and seeing his mom. So I think that, but it was never the sense of, I don't know, it was just like, he's my dad's child. And I don't know, but I do understand there's a lot of people that, and I think it goes back to what you say, because why didn't he do it when my mom was still there? Why didn't he tell us? Saying he had to wait until my mom was not around for him to introduce. So let's say, like, my mom was still there. Would he have, you know what I mean? I feel like we may have never known our brother or things like that. So it's weird. And we're not close now only because we're in different, countries. Well, he reached out to me on Facebook, and we've been communicating through Facebook once in a while. When I came to the U.S., it's funny. When me and my sister came to the U.S., he actually came to visit us and spend the day with us. So he's really into, y'all, my siblings and whatever, and we're like that too. But I don't think it's anything to do with our parents, because they didn't really tell us we had to or stuff like that. It was just a sense like, it's cool to have a brother. It's me and my sister. We're all in water, so I guess it felt cool to just have somebody and have a brother, I guess.
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's funny that you bring that up, because now that I'm thinking about it, my dad, his stepmom. So how do I want to say this? So for my dad's mom, he was the first child. And then his dad went and married another woman, and that's my step grandmother. Now, the stories that I hear is that my grandfather used to step out on my step grandmother, but every time he made children outside of wedlock, my step grandmother used to take those children in, so that the siblings all grew up together. They know each other. and everything. I don't know what the relationships were with the other women, but I just always remember she, everybody talked so highly of her that, she just had a beautiful heart and a beautiful soul. And that even though he cheated on her and had children out of wedlock, she took those kids in. And it's like more than a few. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so with that is the real strength of a real woman, because it takes a lot to put aside, because you have to separate from the hurt of what happened and from the children that are innocent bystanders. And a lot of times they get caught in the middle and they become adults that are kind of,
messed up.
Exactly.
Only because I feel like also, Terry, only because I've heard and I've seen the fact that even though it's the strength of, whoever the person is stepping out, because male and females could have children, you know what I'm saying, outside of their wedding. For me, I also feel like, because I have a friend of mine, same thing, he's had children outside of his marriage. And same thing, like you're saying, Lisa, she takes the children, like, because he's not there, whatever, half of the time the kids are closer to her on certain aspect. But he also has made it a point that, those are, even though like he did wrong, I'm not condoning you stepping out on whatever, but he made it up, these are his children. Right? It's the person's responsibility to say, because I feel like a lot of time, let's say the husband steps out and brings a child, right? And the person that they're with, their spouse, go, no, I don't want to have nothing to do with your child. If the man knows you have a child, you conceived a child, and you saying, okay, well, I married this woman, she don't want to have nothing. What kind of man are you? Because the thing is, I know you love this person, but I feel like it's your responsibility to check that regardless of how the person feel. It's not up to them to dictate how you have a relationship with your child, because the child didn't have anything to do with that. Now, I understand, like you said, you may take time to work through the process, but it's still that adult's responsibility to say, those are my kids. You know what I'm saying? What we gonna do? Like, I can't leave them. So if we gotta separate, if we gotta go our different ways, I'm not leaving my child for nobody. Point blank, period. It's your responsibility to do that.
This adds to our brokenness.
Yep, it does.
Because even though it is, the whole situation is a messed up situation, however, there is some good that can come from it, knowing that the kids, it's important that children know who they're connected to. It's important for their growth. And a lot of times when this happens, again, because they are in the middle of it, they get so badly damaged that when they enter into relationships,
they're looking for that.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, my sister. So he also said, and I'm going back to Frank Ski here, he said, with us, with Black people, African American people, brown people, we are always with the, oh no, I don't want to be bothered, this, that, the other. But the white people, they just embrace them and say, okay, they're just part of the family, and they bring them in. They just one big happy family, they, all living in this big house, and everybody coming in and out. Me personally,
I don't know about that one.
The ones that I've known and I've heard of, that's what I've heard. So correct me if I'm wrong, then some of them. Let me put that out there.
Some, yeah. Okay.
I know for firsthand, my daughter, she has outside siblings from her father and I, and she is an awesome big sister. She's the oldest out of all, it's 3 of them, or 4. She makes sure that they're always taken care of, and she helps them with their homework and stuff like that, but she is awesome. The mother now, one of the mothers of the youngest one, she is Caucasian. So she welcomed Nico into her home also, and she's been very good to Nico. And even though her and I don't speak, well, I should say more so, she doesn't interact with me for whatever the reason is.
Nico is grown. Sorry.
Yeah, I get that. But before Nico got grown, there was no interaction. And I'm chalking that up to him putting implants in her head of me. I'm fine with that, However, but I'm guessing that now she sees exactly why we are the way that we are. But the point that I'm trying to make is that she welcomed Nico in. And she's always been a good person to Nico. And for that, I am extremely grateful. And I have nothing bad to say about her, at all on any level.
Mm-hmm.
But on my take,
but I agree with you though.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No. You said you agree with me.
Yeah, I agree completely that if, again, people put aside their hurt and differences for the children, it makes for abuse. Because at the same, like my son was not, outside, but divorced, and he has a younger brother. And I couldn't imagine like me saying, oh no, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes no sense because that's his blood. Like Lisa said, that's like, it's just part of who he is. So you can't rob, like, I feel like, and again, because we're broken, like you said, it's a selfishness aspect of it in your mind, thinking that, oh, you're not hurting the person that stepped out. You're not hurting anybody but yourself because you're grown. You're not hurting this. You're just hurting this child. You're hurting your family unit. And Black families, we need a unit. We're not together. You're hurting the child. And you're hurting yourself because in your mind, you already know that this child is there. So if you really are the kind of person, like, you go to sleep at night knowing this child is out there and you don't care, something wrong with you. Something is really, I'm sorry.
I agree with you too.
You need therapy. You need therapy. It don't matter what the person did to you. I'm sorry, at the end of the day, I can't, because I've been to like my ex-husband's house and I've hugged his brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be like, no, I'm not hugging your brother. You know what I'm saying? It's a different situation. But for me to be like, I would be an ogre, like on the phone. His brother, when he was younger, was like, oh, I love you. And I was like, oh, I love you too. Like, to me, I just don't, you understand what I'm saying? I don't know. I just feel like it's a child. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that to your mother, but for the child, I'm like, that's your brother. I can't. I don't know. I know, but you know what I'm saying? I just feel like that's just, I don't know. I just feel
right.
like
it's not right.
I know some people do it because of the hurt and the pain, because again, I'm going to put it on blast and I'm sorry, but my son's father, his dad, his grandfather has, because when people come here, the dad came first and the dad was in New York, and his grandfather, so my son's father and his sibling and the mom were still in Haiti, right? So the dad, his grandfather was in New York first or whatever, and had half brothers, right in New York. And they don't have a relation, like as soon as they came to the US, they don't have a relationship with those children. They know of them, but they don't have. So I'm thinking, like, I used to be like, well, why? If y'all know, y'all full aware of these children, these are and they look like y'all. Like, what the hell? Like, but again, it was the grandfather's responsibility to make it, you know what I'm saying? He didn't take the initiative to make it happen. So now you have these, and I don't know, like at the end of the day, I'm trying to think like as a parent. If you're a parent, you have these kids. How, again, are you sleeping at night knowing you have these kids that you're not part of their life? You're not connected to them.
Because the hurt overtakes them and they can't see past that. And we have to be mature enough. See, again, this goes back to doing the work. You have to be able to separate. You have to be able to separate and say, okay, I know this hurt is because Bertie mashed my foot. I know this hurt is because, or I'm upset with Lisa because she cursed me out. So it's two separate entities. But when you start to muddle them all together, now you upset with Bertie, with Lisa, with Mary, with Bob, with everybody. And that's not how that should work. The kids are always innocent and they need as much love, because it takes a village. It takes a village, and they need as much love, support, guidance from everybody to be able to bring them up to be successful men and women in this society. But we don't do that.
I agree.
We don't do that, and that's the sad, sad part.
Yeah.
Because people
You're
do
absolutely right.
also feel like want to separate it. Because I remember when I told my mom I was divorced. So I'm putting all this on blast. I'm so sorry, y'all. I already gave the
Isn't this
disclaimer.
unfiltered? Isn't this
But I
unfiltered?
already
You
gave
really
the
got to
disclaimer.
apologize.
Yeah, I already gave the disclaimer. Don't be calling up my phone, family. So when I got divorced, and that's how you know her people want to keep stuff, right? So when my mom and my dad, separated or got divorced, my dad's passed away. She still talks about that hurt, right, with my dad, and she still feel like all men or they blah 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 whatever. So when I got divorced, my son was like maybe 3. She was like, oh, because she didn't like his family. This woman right there tells me to give my child so I would not communicate. Yes, she was like, well, why don't you just give him the child? So yes, ma'am, you heard me right. She told me, yes, you did. You heard me right. She said for me to give my child to the father just for me not to see them.
What kind of poppy show nonsense is that now?
Hold tight.
And I had to be, but that's the thing. I had to be like, oh, mother, what we're not gonna do, and I'm gonna need to, like what I said it very respectfully. I'm like, I'm sorry, say that one more time, because at first I thought I heard wrong. And I said, first of all, when you and my dad got divorced, you didn't do that. You kept us. You fought for us. So that's one. Secondly, I was like, let me tell you something right now. It don't matter what's going on, what you like them or not. This is his family. What I'm not going to do is repeat what you did. And what I'm not going to do is, so if you want to have a relationship, I'm going to just let you know right now. And I told my family, I don't care what you think, whatever happened, if you don't like him, all one of y'all say one bad thing about his father and his family, y'all not going to see none of us. So y'all can decide whether you want us in your life. I don't want to hear peep squat around him, because you also have to protect your kids from outside influence of your family and their feelings and what they say. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say behind his back, like whatever y'all feel, say it behind. And front, when I'm here with him, I don't want to hear nothing. Then I hung up the phone. I'm like, you decide what you want to do, because I'm not doing it. But that's what I'm saying. It's your responsibility to protect your children and to know, like, I'm trying to raise a healthy Black man in this country. So what we're not going to do is you speak this shenanigans, this stupidity, all these things that y'all doing. We're not doing that.
Good job. Killed it. Get it, girl. Tell him. You ain't about to.
It's not.
So wait a minute.
Man, that's what I'm saying. People just say stupid stuff. Not thinking like, they say stupid stuff. How you want me to say like, like give the child up? So the only reason you want me to give the child, so for me not to see them because you don't like them, it has nothing to do with the child. It has everything to do with your pride. Like I'm sacrificing the relationship with my son for the pride, because of what are you talking about right now?
You telling me to give up my child? Like, how dare you even tell me to give up my child? I'm your child, and you're telling me to give up my child? Are you sure? You didn't mean to say that.
I'm sure
you didn't mean to say that.
I know.
I can't even believe you insinuating that.
But I think it goes back to Terry's point. Because of the hurt and the brokenness, people say stupid stuff that they don't correlate. Like, what the F are you saying right now? Like, you so bent on being, I'm sorry, hateful in your heart. You carry this hurt, this seed that and you want me to water it for you? I'm not doing that. I'm gonna let that shit starve. I'm not watering that bullshit. Whatever you got go.
Say that again.
I'm not watering that bullshit. I'm not watering that seed for y'all. I'm not watering, because that's the thing. I feel like people that don't take responsibility, that's what they're doing. They're watering that seed so it continues to grow.
I like
right?
that.
So stop doing that. Let that, like, burn it to the ground. We're not doing that. No, I'm done for my unfiltered.
Oh man, B's on fire tonight.
I'm sorry. When it comes to kids, my heart for kids, no matter what, I feel for kids because of the fact that, like Terry said, there's too much brokenness, there's too much shenanigans, there's too much. People can't put their ego and pride aside for kids, and then they grow up, and then people want to judge them. People want to be like, oh, how come you turned out this way and this and that? Or later on, you want to come back in the kid's life, especially in the Black community when they're well off, and you just want to come back and like get accolades or get why the kids get abused. You know what I'm saying? And you could have had a part in helping them not get abused and all this other stuff. It's just, I'm not judging because I know hurt people, but at the same time, it's just one of those things. When it comes to kids, I'm very passionate about. There's just certain things, certain bullshit that I just don't, I can't, like,
Tolerate.
You're right.
Yeah. It's hurtful. Painful. Yeah, it's very painful. It's sad all the way around.
Yeah.
So so since you're on the pulpit, I'm keeping you up there because we on a roll. I'm buttering you up because we on a roll here.
I know, right? Oh Lord, take me out to the slaughter, Lisa. Take me out to the slaughter.
I see that.
So with that, and you're talking about children, where are you? Ladies, where are you on the scale of oldest, youngest, middle? Where are you?
So for my dad, I'm the middle because I have an older brother. And my mom, I'm the oldest.
Okay.
And I have a younger sibling.
Do you feel like you're protective over your younger sibling? Like, how is that? How do you feel as being a middle child and an older child? And, how is the relationship with your siblings?
She's really taking me out to the slaughter. So, all right, again, unfiltered. My bad. I love y'all people. I love y'all siblings. So when all three of us were together with my dad had this routine of taking us to the beach and stuff like that, right? And it might not have been intentional, but in my mind as a young child, I felt like when we used to hang out, my brother and my sister and I felt like he favored my sister because she was the baby. So I look like my mom, right? Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I felt like they played a lot more like he was overprotected because she was the baby. Even now on Facebook, when we communicate, he was always like, and I understand it, like, how's your sister? Can you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, always. So I felt like they said the middle child syndrome. Maybe
the syndrome, all right. Sorry.
Yeah, so that part of it, and I didn't realize it. And then for my mom being the oldest, I felt like I was a parent to my sister. And it's now until I became now older that I realized I felt like a lot of my childhood, I wasn't protected. There's a lot of things that happened in our childhood that I wasn't protected and I felt guilty about. But then I had to realize as an adult, like, wait a minute, what the fuck? You were a child. That was up to your parents to protect y'all. And I felt like there's some stuff that happened in our life that should have not happened had they had put, again, their egos and pride aside as my parents. And I know, and I felt like, so I always felt like to the best that I could. And even until I got older, like I always feel like I have to be a parent to my sister, a mother. And I had to realize, wait a minute, nah, because you carry that, right? Being the oldest sometimes and things that happen, you don't think like, and I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine, like, you don't think you're a child. Like you have to grow up so fast, so you don't think you're a child. So when things happen to your siblings, you're like, oh, what the fuck? This is my fault. You go through this whole process. And that's how I felt about that. That's where I am with that. It's an ongoing process with me.
And Lisa, and what about you, Lisa?
Oh, I'm the oldest.
It's always going to be an ongoing process. It's always going to be something that's just continuous until either you guys work at it or it works itself. Definitely. But Lisa.
Yeah, I'm the oldest.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel protective? Are you protective over your brother? Tell us about that.
Yeah. You do. I do feel overprotective. I feel like I have a hawk eye and stuff, but then also too, because he's a boy, it's like I gotta also to give him the space because I find he's overprotective with me too, because not only because I'm his older sister, just because I'm, his sister. Mm-hmm. I also give him a little space too to allow him to, not be completely overbearing, and let him be his own person too, have his own ideas and ideologies and all of that stuff. But I am always watching. I may not say a lot, but but I'm always watching like a hawk.
Okay.
Also, too, as being an older sibling too, I feel like there's a little pressure, a little unspoken pressure, none that no one put on us. It's just as an older sibling, you feel a sense of responsibility that you have to set an example. Basically, you can't screw up. People are looking up to you. You also, lead by example. Huh?
The perfect syndrome.
Is that a syndrome?
I'm just saying that's what it feels like.
I guess so. I guess so. You just feel like, you want to set the tone. You basically can't screw up, and you just want to be a good example. So there's the pressure. There's the pressure of also to, you have a sense of feeling like you got to make sure everybody's good. Whether you got to make sure your parents are good, make sure that they're good, being supportive for everyone while still trying to be an individual on your own, independent, So being an individual, not independent, being an individual on your own, like having your own light, but at the same time being there for them when they need you.
Do you feel like you're the matriarch?
No.
You don't think so?
No. No, I don't feel like that because my mom and my aunts are still alive. So,
I think that you're becoming, I think you're going into those shoes. That's what I think. Bertie, what is your thoughts? I think so, because you
For Lisa?
Yes. Yes.
But I think for all of us, I think that is where all of us are heading, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that. I know one thing, my sister says I'm the one who keeps the family, if that makes any sense.
Matriarch.
Yeah. Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah. You go. That's why I said you're going into those shoes, because what's happening is the elders, after a while, they can't keep up anymore. So they just give you the wisdom. And what you do is you're going to take the information, and you run with it. And then you kind of make sure, like you always been doing, make sure everybody's good, make sure everybody's still keep the family. You're the thread that keeps everything together.
Okay.
I like that.
I didn't think about it like that. I guess
Terry.
I know, Terry. Red gal, what you got?
Listen, but no, who you see now is not who I was. I'm the oldest for my mother, but the middle for my father. And my brother and I are not close. My brother is close to my sister. Tracy likes to, she makes sure she reaches out and she keeps up with him, but we are not close. And I remember the last time I spoke to him was last year in the spring. It was around his birthday, and I said, calling you, I'm talking to you because everybody's be digging in my ass and how I don't reach out to you. And now, I'm talking to you, so there's no reason for us not to communicate. And after that, it was one or two texts, and then,
So you say you don't make an effort? You don't make an effort to reach out?
Really, I can't put it all on him. I really don't. I never had. I never had. And it has nothing to do with him. I just didn't. I think when we were growing up, from what I remember, and it's vaguely how we met, he took my sister and I, because he lives in Canada and he's born in Trinidad, and him and his mom moved to Canada and they live in Canada. And my father took us there, and he said, like, this is your brother. But it wasn't like, oh my God, these are my sisters, hug, hug, hug. It was just kind of like a standoffish thing because, I'm just meeting this person I really don't know, and I'm still little and stuff like that. So from there, I never asked any questions because, again, in the West Indian household, you can't ask questions because they find you to be rude, all that good stuff. So I just left it alone. But as becoming an adult, I never looked for him. I never said, something, I want to find my brother. I never did that. So that's a bad on my part. And again, it has nothing to do with, I don't have any animosity towards him. I'm not mad at him. I just never did. With my sister and I, we've never had that sisterhood where we sitting down and we talking our secrets. It's never been like that. My sister has been ill since she was about 13. And from there, the focus was always on her. So I always felt left out by myself to figure things out. So for that, I struggled for many years because I had to figure things out, because there was never, to me, it was never apparent to speak to that I needed assistance. And I got to the point where I didn't even want to talk. So, I was just doing what I thought, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I bumped my head a lot for many years. So, but now knowing differently, I just do better. And I would like to connect with him, but I want it to be something that he wants to do also. I don't want to reach out and then he doesn't want to reach back because he doesn't feel comfortable or, and I'm good with that. But at least I want to do my part to say, okay, I know the one thing that he did say to me last year was, he was like, thank you so much for taking care of our aunt. He did say that. So I was like, I thought that was really cool of him. That's my story.
I also feel, and I think we said this early in the conversation too, it is up to the parents to set the tone. Because I remember my mom used to always say, like, you and your brother stick together. It has to come from the parents, hands down. But like we said, if you got hurt people, and if they're hurt, they don't know how to correct a situation or how, a situation should be properly run. So, it's just unfortunate. And the kids suffer. The kid's always the one who suffer.
All the time.
Yeah, but all the time. So that's shower them with love because they're so innocent in it all.
Yeah.
But I definitely like the fact that my step grandmother, she's so loving, and the fact that that's so admirable of her for her to take outside children in, and that just shows like she's 97 years old. And if you see her now, I mean, she's full of life. She's full of life and energy. She's the wisdom, and she's sassy, all of it, all wrapped up in it, and it's just,
The other thing I like that you said is being an individual, Lisa. Like, I feel like even though, yes, I feel like in the West Indies culture, being the oldest sometimes, it's like when you take all that responsibility, sometimes you lose yourself and you are not an individual. So sometimes your parents do put that pressure like, oh, you should look out for your sister, you should do this. And then you become more of a parent figure that you take on that role. So understanding also that you have to, even though you guys are, parents are telling their oldest, like, because the middle and the youngest, like, they could do whatever the fuck they want to do. Like, they don't, to some degree they can, and it's like, all right, they're the youngest, right? But I feel like allow your children as parents, if you're listening, if you got multiple, allow the middle one to make mistake, allow them to be their own person, to find themselves, and take some of that pressure away from them, because as much as it's unspoken, it's there with just how you guys, certain responsibility you put on them. You know what I mean? So for me, that would be the only thing that I would add to that I like that point.
Well,
that's it.
Our fans out there, our listeners, tell us about your siblings. Tell us about where you are in the line of, baby, middle, eldest, and how you interact with your siblings. Are you an outside child? Or are you just from mother and father only? We would definitely like to know how that helped you, or how it molded you into the person that you are, or if it's just something that you're still struggling with. I can safely say that, on some levels, I do still struggle with that. So how are you still struggling with that? Share with us. We would love to hear your comments. Ladies, this was really, really, really good. And thank you so much for digging deep and to let everybody know that, it's okay. It's one step at a time, one day. Yes.
Relationship and bricks. It's another brick.
The bricks. All right. You have a good day, and we are out.
All right, people. The Bacchanal Queens, we are ready to leave. But before we leave, we would like to thank you for joining us this week on Unfiltered Lyman with BLT. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and join our Facebook page. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh, exciting content. See you next Thursday, same time, same station. Unfiltered Lyman with BLT is edited and produced by Unfiltered Lyman with BLT.